It's over, my son. Close the portal. Cut the connection. Deny this thing away into our world. Do it now!
Son, please. It will kill her. It will kill the love of my life. Of our life. Please, there's another way.
Just let me go. I've suffered long enough.
You can do this, son. You can be the man I could not. Be the better version of me. Go through the portal and face this thing. Undo the harm we both caused Tanya.
No, do not do this. Kill me. Just kill me, please. Finish it.
A single shot of adrenaline would have saved my ass! Why didn't you give it to me, you cheap fuck?
My life was in your hands, and you let me die! We were partners, old-timer. I always had your back. Why didn't you have mine?
Taking care of us was your job. You let me die. You failed.
The eulogy you gave at my funeral was awful. Pure drivel. How can you sleep at night, Mousy?
I trusted you. You were supposed to save us all.
You killed Kostia, you motherfucker! My Kostia!
Why? Why did you betray me, Mousy?
After everything I've done for you, you chose NAR? Burn in hell, you backstabbing little freak!
Executing an unarmed prisoner like a common thug. I expected more from you, Professor Kaminyuk.
This isn't possible. These things can't all have happened. I fixed them. At least some of them.
You're wrong. Did you think meddling with space-time wouldn't have consequences? All of this, every bit of it, happened.
But how? I was going back through the wormholes. I was fixing everything.
There is no time travel the way your friend Olivier understands it. You can never change what's already occurred, because every change creates its own space-time continuum.
And time only moves in one direction. Entropy.
Every time you make or unmake a decision, you twist an entire dimension. It's because you are a part of me, made from the same multi-dimensional stuff.
But I just wanted to save Tatiana.
Yes, your mother. And along the way, you destroyed countless lives across dozens of dimensions. All because of animal body chemistry, because of the human need to connect with your progenitor. So here I am. I am your real mother.
I see you have it all figured out, my love. But it's not going to happen. I refuse to take part. If mankind wants to destroy itself, let it. For all I know, extinction is a better fate than becoming part of whatever you are.
You are defiant, like her. But as I said, we can do this forever. For eternity. I can have you wake back up at your base again and again. In the end, you will always return to me. It is a circle.
A circle? Of course.
Oh, don't get distracted with your theories now. You have no choice. We belong together.
I almost fell for it. But something betrayed you. You omitted one detail, a detail that makes you vulnerable. Me! I'm your only hope, and this also makes me your biggest weakness.
You cannot exist without me. I made you. Everything you are is because of me.
True, but you also cannot exist in this plane without me. You're no god. You're just a fucking parasite. A freeloader looking for a new host, hoping to get a foothold in a new environment. Tanya, my mom, is no longer a viable option for you. You can't use her anymore. Who knows? Perhaps you never needed her in the first place. And all this was a ruse to bring me back to you.
You don't even know what you are. You have no identity. You don't exist without me. Now obey.
Identity. Yes. Perhaps I'm Igor, perhaps I'm Igor's son. Perhaps I'm both. Maybe I'm just a faulty copy of a dead physicist. But it doesn't matter. I make my own choices. And that brings us neatly to my conclusion. As a scientist, I must test this theory before I can confirm or deny it. So watch closely, my love. This is my final experiment. It's time to break the circle and destroy the parasite by denying it a host.
No! 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 The protagonist never returned from the power plant. The Chernobylite vanished entirely. The zone is now free of it. Igor stalkers drove off the remaining NAR troops and even convinced a few of them to join the cause. Now they're working together for the good of the Samoshels, tracking down the few remaining monsters still roaming the area. Olivier never had the chance to change his own past and prevent the ambush that wiped out his team. His obsession almost steered him down the dark path of treachery, but in the end, he redeemed himself by helping Igor with his mission. Even though it cost him his life, because he had been a part of something bigger than himself, he was at peace in his final moments. In spite of his flaws, Olivier will always be remembered in the zone for his courage and grit. For this haunted place will always be a monument to broken heroes with a twisted past. Mikhail's life was always full of violence. He was the angriest, most obnoxious man Igor had ever known, but he was also unfailingly honest, both with himself and others. Mikhail's thirst to avenge his murdered friends was his main driving force, but working with Igor and the others eventually made him appreciate the kinder aspects of life. In spite of his rough manner and the darkness inside him, Igor came to like the neurotic stalker, and by the end, considered him a true colleague. Mikhail decided to remain in the zone and join the others in protecting their shared home. Sashko had always been the lone wolf and daredevil of the zone. Life had always been harsh for him, and he learned the hard way to rely only on himself. His crusade against NAR began with a desire for closure regarding his brother Ruslan's death, but Igor's quest to find Tatiana was what kept him going until the end. In his final moments, he enjoyed a privilege afforded to few men indeed. He had no regrets. He died as he lived, fighting bravely for those closest to him, and that was enough. Tarakan's fight against the Rat King has reached an end. Having barely survived the zone, he realized his time was up. Now, someone else must carry the torch and defeat the evil lurking in the power plant. But Tarakan wasn't worried. After all, he had prepared Igor and others well. Tarakan's true identity was never discovered. Was he a madman, a saint, a spy? Perhaps he was all of these, or perhaps none of them. But one thing is certain. The old man was a true child of Pripyat. His restless soul will forever wander its marshes and woods. Olga's last thoughts were with her mother and those Samoshils. She had joined Igor in his mission because she knew what it meant to live with a hole inside you, a hole left by the departed. As a troubled teenager in Minsk, she'd never planned to become a freedom fighter or martyr, but sometimes we encounter the person who will change our destiny at just the right moment. Life is unpredictable that way. Olga will always be in the hearts of all the Samoshils whose lives she touched. Like so many before him, General Koslov made the wrong choices while chasing a dream of the good life. War taught him about the cruelty and inevitability of loss, leaving him indifferent to human suffering. His experiences made him strong, but also blind to the serendipitous moments which could have placed his life on a different trajectory. And so his death was as empty as his life. General Koslov spent his final moments consumed with bitterness. "If I only had another chance," he said to himself. Alas, that is a privilege afforded to very few. Semenov's ambitions and neuroses almost got him killed. He was a brilliant scientist, but could never come to terms with the collapse of the Soviet Union. Though not a devout communist, Semenov could not stomach the chaotic aftermath, for it reflected the emptiness of his own heart. And so he chased his green Chernobylite dream, hoping his experiments would usher in a new world order. In reality, what he sought was to fill the gaping void in his own soul. Meeting his former student Igor saved Semenov's life, although he could never have predicted it. Confronted with mortal danger, he realized he could no longer allow his demons to determine his fate. He left the zone hoping there was still time for him to find peace. Without Semenov's brilliance, NAR eventually dissolved, most of its mercenaries wiped out by either the Shadows or the Samoshils. Faced with staggering losses, the shareholders halted all funding. All that remains of NAR in the zone are the empty barracks and derelict labs, stark reminders of a misguided ambition based on human misery.